Good evening and welcome to Anime-Zing Radio. I'm your host, Doug Engler. Joining me as always in the co-host seats are our good friends, Miss Angela Rose
Hi, everyone.
and Mr. Darren Starling.
Hello.
We want to remind everybody that Anime-Zing Radio is brought to you tonight by Home Circle Media, the latest and greatest in anime gear, everything from pens, pencils, stationery, and officially licensed art books. Be sure to check out homecirclemedia.com today or look for them at an upcoming convention near you. We're also brought to you tonight by Casey Fox. For all of your artwork, commission, and cosplay needs, be sure to check out Casey Fox. That's KAYCIFOXX on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. She also has an Etsy that she just put up as well. So keep an eye on that to see all the amazing artwork that she's been coming up with and starting to upload on her Etsy. We're also brought to you by Triple S Lawn Care. If you're in the Raleigh-Durham area in North Carolina and you need quality lawn care at competitive pricing, reach out to Triple S Lawn Care. Darren will be more than happy to take care of you.
Yep.
And help them get out of Bojangles faster.
Yep.
And shout out to the chat. Hi, John. Hi, Ross.
Shout out to all of those who listen to us in podcast platform after the fact. If you're listening to us on podcast and you have access to YouTube, Sunday nights, come over to the live show where you can interact with us in the chat. It doesn't matter what part of the world you're in. We'd love to hear from you. If you have questions for us or the guests, we really encourage the chat interaction. We love when the chat gets going and is active. It helps keep us entertained, energetic, and helps keep the stuff going. We are excited. Next weekend, we will have a guest. Our typical Halloween guest will be Dan Flanders will be coming back. So we'll be able to chat with Manic Dan, see how he's been doing. Haven't seen him since the Sci-Fi and Fantasy Expo earlier this year over the summer. So it'll be fun to chat with him again. Tonight, however, I figured we would talk about fall anime since for once all of us have started watching some sort of fall anime. And again, we found one that we are all going to watch, that we all agree on.
Just one. It happens.
And it's a season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep. How nice that you finally decided to watch Goblin Slayer, Doug.
I thought we were talking about Saint's magic power.
And to be fair, I did pose this as a question to Facebook, and nobody got it right yet.
So it'll be interesting and to see who gets it right. Also, we are closing in fast on 300 subscribers. So once and I mentioned this before, once we hit the 300 subscriber mark, we will be doing a giveaway. We do have an autographed piece from Christy Rothrock that we are going to be giving away. We're currently at 289 subscribers, so help us hit that mark. We're only 11 away. Tell your friends, anybody that you know that's into anime, have them come check us out, subscribe to the channel. It doesn't cost you anything, and you could get a couple hours of ridiculously stupid entertainment. Or some good knowledge. You never know. We're capable of both.
Speaking of knowledge, Devil is a Part-Timer Season 2, Part 2, dub finale has been delayed. Thank you for sharing that, John.
And Ross says he got traumatized by episode 2 of an anime, but it had terrible scheme idea between the main characters.
Had terrible what?
Scheme idea? So I'm not
Ross,
sure.
What show are you talking about?
I will say that, finally finished watching a couple of shows from the summer season. Finally finished St. Cecilia and Pastor Lawrence. That show is one of those flip a table type shows where everybody can see that there is definitely a pure love interest between Lawrence and Cecilia, but nobody knows what love is. Nobody knows what family is. Aggravating.
As far as the summer season goes, I finished The other show I finished, I finally finished Gene of AI, and it was definitely something. It definitely ticked a lot of the boxes I like. Definitely made you question morality. Definitely really well done.
As for me for summer, I finally finished Horimiya The Missing Pieces. Every bit as good as the original series. Well well done episodes and very similar ratings for obvious reasons.
Ross says 100 Girlfriends That Really, Really Love You, episode 2. Look out for no spoilers, Ross, because I was planning on watching that after the episode.
It came out and that was on the radar, but show started before I could watch it.
And I'm just here for the commentary for that one.
But I will say, after watching 3 or 4 episodes of a specific show, I kind of think you would like it, Ange.
What? Horse racing?
No,
Great idea.
Frieren.
Oh yeah, that's on my
That's
radar too.
see, that's one of those ones and now so many of my friends have been hyping that one specifically to the point where I'm just like, I don't know if I care. And that's what happens when shows get way too much hype way too quick is I decide I don't care.
Well, the reason that I think you would enjoy it, and I'm trying to look at this not from my own perspective, but like you said that you look for a good storyline, because that's something that's very important to get you into an anime. It's not an isekai. It's a fantasy.
Okay, we've got 1 point. It's got 1 point so far.
It's not an isekai. It's a fantasy, and yes, it doesn't. It's another anime that involves the hero's party, but it's not so much the journey of the hero's party to defeat the demon lord. It's the aftermath, and it's this basically viewing the world through the eyes of the elf who lives for hundreds of years and seeing her comrades slowly die, and then takes one of her comrades, underlings, as her own after he passes.
So it's one of those ones that if it's well done, I'm gonna fucking cry. Great.
Basically.
I think like if you look at it from the fantasy aspect of the view of the world from an elf, which you don't usually get a lot of that.
No.
And she seems heartless, but it's because she doesn't understand human emotions. She doesn't understand that 50 years to us is a long time, where to her it's like a week.
And
so it's kind of a neat thing that gets you thinking about a different perspective.
That comparison was done really well. The Amazon show, the Amazon Lord of the Rings. When you take an elf and you take a dwarf and they're best friends, 40 years for an elf is, like you say, a week, but for a dwarf, that's a lifetime.
Yeah, and the hero's party it was your typical, you had the dwarf that was the tank, you had the priest, you had the elf who was the mage, and you had the overpowered, you had the hero who was human. And you see like the fact they traveled for 8 years together meant a lot to a lot of people, where Frieren who's the elf, was kind of like, I traveled with these people, but I really don't know anything about them. And you kind of see some of the regret take place, where she didn't or she felt like she didn't take the time to really get to know them, even though they traveled for 8 years.
Yep.
That's why I think you would enjoy it.
I'm gonna wait for the hype to die down first on that one.
That is totally fine. I just wanted to give you a logistical explanation of why.
That's valid. That's I'm gonna.
It's not like vending machine where I'm like, it's good, you need to see it. It's like, no, I really honestly think you would enjoy it. let the
Mm.
hype die
Vending,
down, but it's really good.
yeah, no, this is one of those, if something gets way too hyped, I want to wait a bit because if I because then when it doesn't live up to the hype, I'm disappointed.
Ah.
And vending machine just, I went into that with really low expectations. So
You and everybody else.
saying it was better than it should
How,
have been may
how
not
could you
mean a
not?
lot,
How
but
could
it
you not
actually.
go into that with low expectations?
I'm just gonna shake my head and laugh that this exists. Because vending machines should not exist. I'm sorry.
And by that logic, neither should heat the pig liver.
I I heard a little bit about that. My friends hosted a uh, anime premiere night that I was unable to attend. I just had way too much going on, and I heard about pig liver, and I was just like, yeah, too much. This should not exist.
I'm still waiting for the next isekai item, reincarnated as a toilet, catching the shit of the world.
Uh, why not get reincarnated as a truck, sending people to the isekai to other worlds?
Reincarnated as a train, getting revenge on Truck-kun.
I was
There you
gonna
go.
say, and John in the chat with more knowledge, uh, with a voice actor birthday announcement. Uh,
Aaron
Aaron,
Dismuke.
thank you.
Aaron Dismuke's birthday was 2 days ago. It's the voice of Al in Full Metal Alchemist, Senku in Doctor Stone, and Joe in Show by Rock Mashimaresh. Also, recent birthday, Macy Ann Johnson had a birthday this past week. She was the voice of Howen in Show by Rock Mashimaresh. We've had her as a guest on the show a couple of times. Very big happy birthdays to all of them. Happy birthday to any of you listening out there. If you had a birthday this past week or coming up, hope everybody enjoys their birthdays.
Doug, are you caught up on Uma Musume?
I am. And season 3's main character was extremely predictable from after season 2.
True, but at the same time,
I'm just.
the third episode.
I haven't seen the
did.
third episode. I watched 2. I
Okay,
haven't
about
watched
to
the third one
say,
yet.
I won't spoil anything, but third episode, will give nostalgia vibes.
Now, Darren, you started Girlfriend, right?
Sadly,
Season 1.
no, I saw all season 1, and I've started season 2.
Okay, you did.
I'm caught up on both episodes.
Okay.
Actually, you guys, Ross in the chat wants to know how far you are so he can hold back on spoils for what he's seen, and because he doesn't want to actually spoil things for us, he wants to respect our boundaries with that.
For which one?
Okay, just to give the Ross, just so you know that what I have been watching, I am caught up on Spy Family 2, Saint Magic Power Season 2. Frieren, I'm 4 episodes in. Girlfriend, 100 Girlfriends, I've only seen the first episode. Girlfriend, I've seen the 2 episode that's dropped. Caught up on the VR MMO Katsudaki anime, Pretty Derby, I'm 1 behind. Overtake, I'm caught up on, and the Noble Lady, a Crash Course in Naughtiness, I'm caught up on.
Okay, for me, I'm caught up on Shield Hero 3, Goblin Slayer 2, Eminence in Shadow 2. Let's see. Our Dating Story, which people are crapping on, but I don't care. I've only seen the first episode of 100 Girlfriends. Let's see, what else? I've seen all 3 episodes of Uma Musume. I've seen both episodes of Girlfriend. And wow, I'm actually watching anime this season.
Yeah, that's a surprise.
I know, right?
I think you watch. I think you've watched more fall shows than you did spring and summer combined.
I'm inclined to agree with that.
Yep.
That being
Uh,
said,
and
I'm
I and then yeah, that's all I got for the moment.
One
uh
episode of Spy Family, I think you said
But
too.
yes, one episode of Spy Family.
spoilers. So I've watched thus far this season. I'm behind on Goblin Slayer season 2. I've watched one episode of Girl and Her Guard Dog, one episode of Under Ninja, and one episode of Spy Family season 2. And the last one on my list doesn't drop until next week.
And I know of the ones that I'm watching. Saint's magic power is omnipotent. Ange might like, might not. Darren, I think you would enjoy it.
Probably.
Freerin, I am 90% sure that Angela would like Freerin.
I probably would too.
100
It's on my
Girlfriends,
list.
Angela would just shake her head at and go, "This is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen." Same thing with Girlfriend. Um,
Well, girlfriend,
I,
girlfriend is self-explanatory.
I don't think it can be as ridiculous as some of the things I've watched, but me shaking my head at you both, probably.
um, the VR MMO anime that I'm watching, you might enjoy because I know you like the MMOs. It's not an isekai. It just is a lot of like a
The
guy who plays an MMO and you get a lot of in-game play.
that
So that right there, I
the
think would be hit or
description
miss.
the description I read didn't do it. When we went through the My Anime list, the synopsis didn't do it for me, and it was just like there's so much. The synopsis left me with that could be so much better done, but that's just me.
It was called Recovery of an MMO Chunky, which I thought was actually really good because you got to
I,
see an in-game friendship turn into an actual like romance in real life when they
yep,
realized who they were.
yep.
I mean, hell, we could argue that's Bo Fury.
Overtake is a lot better than I thought. I was gonna sleep on Overtake, but I was bored at the hotel on one of the trips, and I'm like, you know what? I'll check it out because I like auto racing. I like Formula One style racing. And good evening, Mario. I hope you're having a wonderful night. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's been a bit since we've seen you in the chat. I know you've popped in from time to time, but I hope everything's going good for you. But with Overtake, it does a fantastic job if you don't know auto racing, especially like Formula One style auto racing. They focus on Formula Four, which is very similar cars, just a lot cheaper. But they talk about the costs of the cars. They talk about why they do certain things in a race. Um, so it's very good instructional from that point of view. But you're seeing a comparison between the big money team with two cars and the underfunded privateer team with one car and a driver who just started. He's only been racing for about a year or so, and controversy between the two teams, and then a guy who knows nothing of motorsports but has you can tell there is some deep psychological trauma that prevents his photographer from taking certain kinds of pictures. And they haven't said why he can't do that thus far in the story after 3 episodes, but he falls in love with this specific like underfunded team and does what he can to try to help the team out and help the driver out because he just fell in love with the driver's driving style, his passion, and it's kind of a neat little story. I think this is one that has surprised me the most thus far. And it's only a few episodes in and it has a chance to be fantastic and it's got a chance to suck. I feel like it could swing either way. but thus far, I thought that it's been a pretty good show. And Mario says, "Sorry for being absent. Been super busy with work and life, and been watching the show during work." Well, I
That's
know,
right. Time zones.
yes, and we really appreciate when you're able to come in, Mario. We love the fact you've been a long time fan of the show and supporter, and always love when you come on. And Angela is still up for if the final season ever drops of
I was gonna
AOT.
say, if it ever freaking finishes,
We
we'll do a special. Come on the air with me, and we'll do
we'll
a
do it.
special breaking
Well,
it down.
we'll have you two do a like a live 1 hour special. Could be like a YouTube exclusive or something where you and Angela just come on and talk about what you loved and hated about AOT.
And we'll just sit there with blank stares on our faces and listen and maybe shake our heads.
Which fair. If it ever finishes, yup.
But getting back to girlfriend before we got distracted, what were you gonna say about it, dude?
Girlfriend. And I don't want to spoil anything, but Saki's best friend ends up moving in with, Saki, her boyfriend, and his other girlfriend. So there's him and three girls living together, and then the rich blonde girl decides to rent the apartment next or rent the house next door because she doesn't want to be left out.
I was
And
about to say she keeps getting kicked out of every episode.
she does. Most recent one, her only screen time came at like the commercial breaks.
Exactly.
So Ross is sharing parts of his watch list in the chat. His watch list includes season 2 and season 3s of Shadow, Dr. Stone, Megas, Spy Family, Faraway Paladin, Waiting on Dubs for Goblin Slayer, and Megas Bride.
I forgot about Megas Bride.
I kind of did too. Because I never started watching I think I watched one episode of the second season, but with all the training and stuff, I didn't really have a chance to do much.
Training for trains. That's funny.
My schedule this week coming up is I go in at 8:30 p.m. and I'm working local, so I'll probably be home at I'll be done working at the latest at 8:30 a.m. So it's going to be all overnight stuff because we can work up to 12 hours.
So you'll be finishing work about the time I sit down at my desk.
And
yeah,
you'll be finishing work about the time I'm getting ready to get off.
yeah, and while you're sleeping, I'll be on a train learning how to switch certain industries, including a Coca-Cola plant.
Nice.
So we're going to be bringing like tank cars to the Coke plant.
And Ross finishing out his list of new stuff: 100 Girlfriends, Noble Lady Crash Course, Our Dating Story, Experienced, Not Experienced,
Yep.
Girl and Guard Dog, Demon Sword Master Academy, and Butariba.
Where is Demon Sword Master Academy? Is that a Crunchyroll one? Because that was one I had on my list to watch, but I haven't found it.
Wait. Demon
Sword Master of Excalibur Academy.
There was another show that piqued my interest a little bit that kind of gave me Cross-Ange vibes, but I didn't follow it. I haven't started it yet.
It is on Crunchy. Doing a quick Google search, it is on Crunchy.
Demon Sword.
Although Ross is saying High Dive.
Okay.
Um,
I'm gonna. I have to wait for a little bit before I can watch that one because I currently don't have High Dive. Have a few other bills that had to get paid, so I had to drop High Dive for a few months until we started getting afloat.
And Mario wants to know, is Shadow of Eminence any good?
Shadow of Eminence and Shadow, or
I'm guessing Eminence of Shadow.
So am I. I'm literally
uh,
reading what it says on the screen.
yes, Ross. I mean Mario. I
You're
yes,
getting them
Mario.
confused now,
Locked
Darren.
it. Huh?
You gotta stop getting them confused, or I'll have to break out that sound bite, that little 1 minute clip I sent you.
Oh, good lord.
Please don't. That's more embarrassing than the Nico.
Oh, that clip.
What happens when Darren's overtired? Continues to talk.
Yeah, like I said, now imagine me when I'm drunk. I've never gotten to that point, and I hope I never do.
Uh, Mario says they'll add it to the list. Ross is caught up on everything.
Wow, free time must be nice.
I know, right?
My free time is typically at hotels, but my over the road jobs are done for a while. I've got a lot of locals that I'm going to be learning. I think there's like probably 10 or 12 different locals I'm going to have to learn the routes for, and all the industries and all the rules and stuff. I got my
So,
work cut out for me.
so I did a silly thing. After finishing the live action One Piece, I
You ran out
decided
and got a Luffy cosplay.
no,
Nico cosplay?
no. What I decided to do
Nami?
was not me. I considered, but no. I decided rather than watch the anime because apparently there's chunks that are just nothing but filler. I ended up going through, and Boston Public Library surprisingly has a good chunk of anime manga in their collective that you can check out. So I'm going to actually start reading the manga for One Piece and eventually finish it.
You're
Not
starting a journey that's just as long and tedious as the anime.
Yeah, but with no filler, and I'll end up reading chunks at a time, and then go far too long. And
So yeah, I saw something somewhere supposedly that there's going to be no more filler after after this season that's currently airing for one show. I can't remember if it was One Piece or one of the other long ones.
I'm gonna say of all the season twos that I'm watching, there is one show that feels like they started to put a little bit of filler in off of the most recent episode that I watched, but I'm not gonna say which one. I'm just gonna say that it almost like episode two almost felt like a filler episode. And I'm hoping the series doesn't take that turn because I really enjoyed season one, and I don't want to lose interest in season two of a show that I really haven't been enjoying.
if you haven't been enjoying it, then why bother?
Well, in the case of Saint's Magic Power, or in the case of Saint Cecilia and Pastor Lawrence, by the time we get, like my wife and I were watching that together, and by episode 10, we were getting bored of it, and then we did the Angela. We're this far invested, we'll just finish the damn thing.
Ah, that makes sense. We did that a couple of times. Yeah.
Saint's Magic Power is season two has still been really good.
According
It is slow, and you can see some of the night. It's got, for those of you who know Snow White with the red hair, it has the same feel as that does. You can see a romance developing between two people. They kind of realize that they have the feelings, but they're afraid to act upon them.
John in the chat, John, I highly recommend you watch the live action One Piece. I will recommend that to almost everybody because it was that well done.
And I told Angela the only way I would watch that is if she watched Vending Machine.
And I'm not willing to watch Vending Machine, so fair.
Because to get me to sit down and really like watch a shonen,
And that's
it is like, especially one that I know is extremely. And I know I'm not saying that. Oh, I'm going to watch the live action and I'm going to jump right into watching a million episodes of anime. And I'm not saying that it's not good. I'm just saying that I never had an interest in One Piece, and I don't really feel like I need to start going into.
and that's completely fair. And Mario's rambling in the chat, agreeing with me that it was insanely well done.
And he's agreeing with me.
Here's the thing: Vending Machine. I don't like isekai as a whole. That's a simple fact. So why would I subject myself to one, especially with a premise like Vending Machine?
That's why I
Why
felt it
not?
was an even. That's why I felt it was an even trade off. I'll do a
Exactly.
shonen for you to do an isekai.
Exactly, and we're at a Mexican standoff. It's never going to happen, and this is fine.
That's why Angela said Furin got a point because it's not isekai. It's fantasy, not isekai.
And fantasy, well done fantasy is amazing. However, there's so much mediocre fantasy, which falls into all the stupid tropes and just. Ugh. Oh, yes, I think. Oh God, Ross, I gotta catch up with Ross. So now that I know we caught up on Butareba, they did make the most reckless thing that makes me angry that you should never ever do in real life or anime. Why do characters always haggle a price that never works out well at all? Your guess is as good as mine. Sorry for the delay in that, Ross. I am reading the chat. I am reading the chat as you guys are typing. It's just kind of finding a break, and then we just go off on tangents.
And if it does happen to slip through the cracks, just like you said there, pop another comment up there to let us know. Hey, I asked a question. Will you answer it? Damn it!
Yeah.
Okay. The answer to that one is I don't know.
Because that's what humans do. It never makes any sense, but that's what we do.
HH, okay, that was good.
HH, I feel singled out by that comment. I'm living my fantasy life.
See, I've
turned into Rail Wars.
See, I feel like I'm at the stage of living best life.
And I don't know if they're watching, but a few people who expressed some interest in tuning in tonight, to the conductor who was giving me advice on the most recent trip. Kyle, if you're listening in, you got to throw a shout out to him. Also, a shout out to some of the desk staff at the Meadowlands Plaza Hotel in New Jersey, where we've been staying. I was chatting with them a little bit, and they said that they were really big into the anime and gaming nerdum, and so they may check us out as well. So if you do check out the show tonight and you are watching, thank you so much for checking us out. I hope you enjoyed the show, and hope you subscribe, stick around, hit the like button so YouTube knows that this is good content and recommends it for other people.
And you know what? I'm going to do the same darn thing and give a shout out to one of the researchers in in the lab I work at, because an entire conversation happened because I noticed he had a One Piece sticker on his laptop and we got to talking about anime. And he was surprised to learn how much anime I enjoy and that I am part of a podcast.
So if he's tuning in, thank you to you as well, and hope you enjoy. And eventually, we'll start getting more guests back on the show again, like we have in the past. But I've been enjoying having a lot of shows where we just chat.
And it gives us, honestly, it gives us time to interact with the chat. It gives us time to seriously deep dive into some topics that we wouldn't otherwise think of.
And sometimes I get over philosophical, and it surprises Angela. Like last week.
Yeah,
You seemed a bit shook when I really went down like a psychological.
That's usually me. I'm usually the one that does that.
But you just kind of sat back and just, well, let's see where he goes. If it starts to derail, I'll step in and try to right the wrong.
Exactly.
I don't know. I literally.
And then there's Darren.
That says, "Do you want to connect food?"
Huh?
Like, do you want to connect food?
Exactly. You're here.
That's me.
And you're not
But
dead
it was like,
yet.
do you want to connect to the TV? Yeah. It's like, do you want to connect to the TV? And it's like, yeah, let me show you how you do this. And I hit the button and it started playing.
What did you just send me, Darren?
Here, like, stop. I'm like, I'm going to get a text message. And immediately, like, there's the message.
Oh, no.
An interesting plot
Yeah,
concept.
I think if you're on YouTube,
Reborn into another world with a tiger tank. Girls in Panzer, the isekai version.
I can just.
Yep.
Which I don't try to. I don't do that anymore. The only time I do it is if you guys are
The
out.
worst part is I could see that actually happening. They're reincarnating everything.
Yeah, I guess so. Because again, I just hit the button. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I forgot you weren't there.
That time I was reincarnated as a VTuber.
First,
No, I just didn't hear it.
Watch that come
Speaking of
out.
which,
yeah.
is anybody getting VTuber reels on their Facebook feed recently? Because I'm
Yes.
getting a lot from one particular individual.
That's so stupid. But
I have been, but I've also watched quite a few, so it doesn't surprise me.
I have not, but my Facebook
So I
is,
just said, okay.
I don't typically watch that kind of stuff, so.
I don't watch it at all, but I get this girl's videos in my feed, and it's only this one VTuber. It's Rena Luxper or whatever her name is.
I don't know that one.
She's got gray
Okay.
hair and a red and blue eye.
The corpse.
It's all right. No, it's
Facebook, what's that?
you have to get
You know, HH, sometimes I wish I could say that. Ross, I'm not entirely certain what you are. Oh,
and then you fight the heart immediately, and then you enter the corpse.
Uh,
She's dead at that point.
Ross is asking
And
Fun.
then you fight like the ultimate form of mom.
our dating story. What's the point of matching the other partner with similar objects for each other?
Oh, it's all in his mind. He's in the chest, and yeah, all this happens. Like,
Wait, our dating story? What?
like very broken.
What's the point of what?
That's really
I
bad.
don't think it is anymore.
I know that's why it's like.
What's the point of matching the other partner with similar objects for each other? Is how he. I haven't watched this one, so I don't know.
They didn't.
Oh.
though. I mean,
Matching
one.
t-shirts or matching phone covers.
Oh.
Oh, sometimes that's just a thing couples do.
And then I like it when the couples get into the t-shirt wars. I'm hers, he's his.
You know, that's like, for example, I've at an anime con I saw a husband and wife. They did that with Han Solo and Princess Leia shirts with the quotes. That's not a thing I've done. Even when my husband and I cosplayed from the same series, we did not do any of the we did not do a matched couple, as it were, and not a and not one that people
It was
shipped.
also covered in stuff in front of it, so
I will be right back. Something I gotta do real quick.
weird.
Okay.
I wouldn't.
Uh-huh.
I don't know any.
But regardless, I mean, I get it. Don't get me wrong, because they want to feel like they share something,
Mm-hmm.
especially when it's something special, because it was a limited edition item.
Yeah. No. Ross, it's really just a cutesy thing that some people do and others don't. Like
I
like
just love.
to the point where like husband and I are both hockey fans. We both have jerseys. When we got our Vegas hockey jerseys, the big deal was we had to get different ones that don't identically match.
Probably the funniest thing to me, and I noticed this going back in my school days, which feels weird saying. What is cool in elementary school is not cool in middle school, and then becomes cool again in high school, and then by the time you get to adults, no one cares anymore. And
It sounds
then
about right.
in middle school, stuff that we picked on in elementary school all of a sudden became cool in middle school.
And then
And
by the
then,
time you get to high school, nobody cares.
exactly, or it stays cool, and then whatever into adults. And where was I going with this? It was something to do with relationships, and
I'm not sure.
I lost my train of thought on that.
No, I like what. See, I didn't have the distinction between elementary school and middle school.
Did you go through a K through 8? Did you go to a K through 8 school or something?
K through 8 Catholic school, and then
Okay.
high school.
My mom also went to a Catholic elementary school, I believe. This was back in the 70s, mind you. No,
Uh,
60s.
I was gonna say, for me, Catholic school was the 80s through the middle 90s, but you know.
I went to a total of 4 different schools. I went to one school for elementary, for kindergarten. Then I went to another school, same city, for the rest of elementary. Went to a school in a different city for middle, and then back to the same city I went to elementary school in. And it was all because where I was located was considered the county and
Yep.
not in city limits. So they sent me whichever way was closer, I guess. I don't know.
It's all done by school. The school district. I don't know how it is, and I don't 100% know how it is in the South, but depending on where, like in my town, depending on where exactly you lived, determined where you went to elementary school. Because there was only one junior high and only one high school.
Well, that's the thing. We have the third largest school district in the country.
Oh, you're Wade County?
Yep.
Yeah, that's where my friend Carrie, her kids are part of that school system.
You know, it's amazing. I picked my house for future consideration of if I had kids, I wanted them to go to Wake County Public Schools. But then I remembered just how much I hate Wake County Public School System's stupid board.
So what you do is so either you convince someone you know to be part of the board, because I assume that's an elected position.
There's 9 commissioners, I think.
So run for school board.
No, Well, maybe in the future, but no.
I'm not saying now. I'm saying later.
I'm just saying though, because let me put it to you this way: they don't know how to manage money, and my friend who works in the school system says every time they give the teachers a raise, he gets a budget cut,
Uh,
and he's in the maintenance department.
uh, yeah, you can't skimp on maintenance. No.
No,
H.
they do though.
I know. Uh, HH said they'd vote for you.
Well, thank you.
I am back. I don't know what you're talking about.
We went off on a real tangent here. We finished answering Ross's question and then just went down a rabbit hole.
Back to school.
Yeah, pretty much.
Back to school. I don't ever want to go back to school.
I don't know. Well, no, let's be real. I do want to go to grad school at some point, but I have in fact gone to concerts and such as an anime schoolgirl, generic anime schoolgirl, because Japanese bands coming to the States. Why not?
You should go as Mocha from Rosario Vampire.
Which Mocha?
Knowing
Inner or outer?
Angela's personality, inner.
Inner.
I'm confused, but okay.
One's got silver hair, one's got pink hair. One is cutesy, the other is stern.
The pink hair is, shy, innocent, cute, vampire girl. Who wears a rosary around her neck. When the rosary is removed, the inner vampire is unleashed. Her pink hair turns white. Her eyes go crimson red. And she turns into just badass. I will kick your ass and defeat you in 30 seconds with one kick.
This fight lasted a whole 26 seconds. Whee! And there was a bat that actually timed the fight in the show.
Ross says, let's get back to anime. I sidetrack everybody too far, so that was an amazing push in Noble Lady Crash Course. Also, Guard Dog is okay, but why does the Guard Dog have to be in the school? Ross, I asked myself that same question regarding Guard Dog. There are aspects of Guard Dog that very much gave me similar. They gave me vibes that to Skip and Loafer. So there's that.
I will agree with you, Ross. That punch in Noble Lady.
But as far as why does the Guard Dog have to be in school, Yakuza, they can do that, is about what I got. I'm waiting to see how they play out the rest of that one. Because it's good. It's good. But it's not like, oh my God, best thing ever.
And as far as Noble Lady, A Crash Course in Naughtiness.
That was another one I was.
That has been interesting, and the naughtiness that they refer to is not what you're thinking, Darren. At least not yet. The naughtiness is a bit different.
Ross, I don't know. Ross, I'm not sure yet because I only watched one episode. In another episode or two, I'll actually be able to give that a more accurate answer about pacing. But there was a lot of exposition. But we'll see. Like I said, I have a feeling this one's going to be some level of slice of life, and those typically tend to be slower than other styles, at least in the ones I've seen. But we'll see. Ah, actually, yeah. Yep. And I think that's exactly, yeah, I think exactly. Because it was yeah, the some of the personality bit, some of the the pacing, some of the expressions, some of the inner monologue bits. Yeah.
And going off on another small little side trip, a YouTuber that Angela and I both enjoy watching had come out with a book recently, which Angela has the hard copy, or she has the physical copy of.
And I'm going to pull it off the shelf and show it off.
I got the audiobook.
That finally dropped.
And I have been listening to it on my 40-minute drive to and from work. I'm like 8 or 9 chapters in. Sadly, neither my wife nor I won the signed copy that Chris Broad did on top of Mount Fuji. I was hoping to get that, but it is what it is. I still have the audiobook, and it has actually been really funny to listen to, especially knowing that Chris is reading it himself. He didn't bring on a voice actor to do the audiobook reading like a lot of authors do. So to hear this book by Chris, having him actually read out everything he wrote and hearing like how some of the stories go, and the titles are hysterical.
Agreed. I ended up finishing that while on vacation.
I am currently, what am I up to? Chapter 13. Get out now.
Did either, I have not, to answer John's question, no, I have not. John in the chat mentioned he got the Prison School Blu-ray from Amazon, and did either of you guys watch the Prison School dub?
I have not, but my wife did.
I read 70 chapters of the manga in one sitting and then forgot about it. And on that note, rest in peace, Right Stuff Anime. Shopping for Blu-rays will never be the same.
And that was, now I've got to find it, because thank you for reminding me. Come on, internet, you want to cooperate.
It never wants to cooperate.
I know, right? I sent something. Okay. What is in speaking as a tangent from a farewell to Right Stuff, because they're now getting rolled into Crunchyroll. Crunchyroll is also launching its own 24-hour anime channel in the US, which will be available on the Roku channel, Vizio Watch Free. It will also eventually join Amazon's Freevee, and will feature a launch lineup of older anime shows dubbed in English, including but by no means all-inclusive, Horimiya, Ranking of Kings, Moriarty the Patriot, Psychopass, Arafuerta, Sugar Apple Fairy Tale, To Your Eternity, and Code Geass.
And hello, Sharka in the chat. Welcome. It's great to see you in the chat. I hope you're having a wonderful weekend.
I'm waiting for more Ari Puerta.
And correction, my wife has not watched Prison School. I thought she had, but she has not.
Moriarty the Patriot is another show that I really, really enjoyed that a lot of people slept on.
I think we all have shows like that we think are like top tier shows that just nobody ever talks about. I'm sure we all could probably come up with like at least a top 3 list, if not a top 5, of shows that you don't feel like they got the love that they deserve because they were that good for one reason or another.
And Sharka agrees with me on loving Moriarty the Patriot. That one was just so well done. I absolutely loved it.
Speaking of Patriots, they actually got a touchdown for the first time in like 27 games.
On that note, get this, Doug. The Boston Red Sox have outscored the New England Patriots during the month of October.
That doesn't surprise me. Especially considering the fact they went 22 drives without making it into the red zone.
And we've gone back to sports.
Yay,
well,
sports ball.
At least both of your teams, I'm sure, are having a better season than the Panthers.
Not by much.
Do the Panthers have a win yet?
No.
Okay, so then we're only one win ahead of the Panthers, and we're tied with the Broncos, which is my wife's team.
God damn it! Why did I do that? No, I know why I did that.
Oh, that reminds me. I need to see who won last night. If State or Duke won, because home rivalries.
I have ESPN loaded. What is that? NCAA?
Yeah.
Football or basketball?
Football. Duke
Okay.
played State yesterday at home.
NCAA football.
I'm looking right now.
So am I.
Duke won 24-3.
Ay.
Duke's ranked 17th. North Carolina State is not ranked at all.
I'm sorry, but my family was always more college oriented than professional.
Given where you're from, that does not surprise me in the slightest. And
my dad's from Florida, so he was a Gator fan.
And the only college team I really followed heavily got destroyed yesterday, 41-3. So
I never followed college sports, never got into it. And go ahead with the question, Ross.
Question
question about the lawsuit.
Did you hear the lawsuit of Crunchyroll?
Sort of, kind of, not really.
Lawsuit, as in lawsuit against them, or they filed one?
The class act, I believe, I could be mistaken, he's referring to the class action suit.
Oh, I think I know what he's talking about for those who are subscribers, because a lot of people's information got sold or somehow distributed to third parties without consent. And so there is you have to fill out a form and do a few things, and you're eligible for a payout as part of the lawsuit. I believe that's what he's referring to. Okay. Being a subscriber, I did hear about that. I have not done anything with that yet, partially because of no time.
I forgot to fill out the one for Facebook.
Correct us if we're wrong, Ross. And
I did get something out of the Plaid lawsuit. I actually got $30 out of them.
I got I got 60 from a class action suit from a while ago. I don't even remember which one.
I just remember I got like a $5 check in the mail as part of like a lawsuit for something. It's like if you cash this, then you've settled the lawsuit. I'm like, I don't even know what lawsuit you're talking about.
I basically opted for PayPal payment, and one day I found out that I had money in PayPal, and it's like, oh, cool.
I got mine through either Cash App or Venmo. I forget which one.
And then
I think it was Venmo.
You gotta. This is the joys of technology. And
to be honest, I'd rather have a check in hand, but
Who uses checks anymore? Don't answer that.
You do realize that's how I take payment most of the time, right?
I did not actually. I'm so accustomed.
I discourage my customers from using electronic unless absolutely necessary.
I'm I'm just so accustomed to everything being credit card or digital.
Well, do me a favor. Don't. For the good of society, don't.
And to answer your question, Ross, the way that they worded it, it was very confusing. I think you had to be a subscriber within that time frame that they specify, and because I'd gotten an email about it, and they specified a specific time frame that you had to have been a subscriber of. So if you joined after that time frame, I don't think you're eligible to get the $30 or
Between September 8th, 2020 and September 20th, 2023. So 3-year period.
which I was a subscriber for all of that, so it's like I'm not overly concerned over $30. So yeah, they want to send me a free $30, go ahead, but I'm not gonna be disheartened or upset if I don't get it.
I think I'm more just surprised with how technology has advanced in leaps and bounds, but they can't keep anything secure.
Mm-hmm.
That's because they just want you to have a false sense of security that we're working as hard as we can to make sure the internet has safeguards and Norton antivirus and all of this stuff, and the only thing that's ever really kept secret is what the government really wants kept secret. They don't give a crap about our private information or personal lives or anything like that, because they follow us every second of the day, thanks to things like cell phones and GPS
and HH answered that hypothetical question that they use checks because electronic services have always effed them over, and resolving conflicts often exceeds the billing cycle, so they've been burned by the incompetence of others. Structured incompetence.
Understandable.
Understandable indeed.
Yep.
I still own a check. I still own a checkbook, and I
Same
can tell
here.
you. I can tell you the last time I wrote a check was for when our rent went up. I had to write a check. I had to write a check for the property management company to update our last month's rent.
Okay.
And then everybody else in the house sent me money. I wrote the check for the total amount, but everywhere else, it's sometimes cash, mostly credit or debit cards.
I'd say all my bills are paid for in check. I'd rather trust the postal system, which is crazy saying.
As someone who has spent
too much
over
time
5 years working in a mail room dealing with the postal service, I question that decision. I don't trust the post office at all. But given the options, I will concede the point.
Well, have one piece of identifying information stolen or have all of your information stolen? What would you rather do?
I'm not, like I said, I'm not disagreeing with anything beyond trusting the post office. But no, I see. But no, I think it's cybersecurity is a very interesting thing. And Ross is apologizing for the derailment.
Ross, you have nothing to apologize for, man.
Welcome to what happens.
On a weekly basis.
Exactly.
You know,
And we don't need Ross to derail us. We can do that
we do this.
ourselves.
I was going to say we do this on our own.
You have to say having y'all be the cause of it is just a bonus, really.
And HH is laughing at this. I know a guy that mailed a letter to himself in Michigan, and it was delivered to Birmingham, England. I actually have a story similar to that. I used to travel a lot. We used to travel a lot when I was little, or when I was a child. And when we would spend 2 weeks every summer in Myrtle Beach, my sisters and I would send postcards to our friends back home up in Massachusetts. Well, one time it took several months. My sister sent a postcard to her best friend, and it went to Alaska before going back to Massachusetts.
Okay.
But that's the post office for you.
Anytime we went somewhere fun, like almost every time we went skiing, Mom would always send a postcard back to the house for me and Dad.
Ross trying to get us back on track. Darren, please let me talk about today's 100 Girlfriend scene that traumatized him from the beginning of the episode.
No. I haven't watched it, and neither has Doug. Sorry, you're out of luck.
And HH is apologizing to Ross. Back on. Is anyone else, and this goes out to the chat as well, is anyone else watching Under Ninja? I want other people's opinions on that one.
I
If
am not.
any.
And I am not neither.
Because it's looking like another one of those going to be fun and not taking itself seriously.
Ross says only romance. Sorry.
That's fair. Nope.
John-
All right.
John
Looks
has
like
not
that's
seen
a
it
just.
either.
Looks like that one's a just me.
Now, has anybody in the chat watched Pretty Derby? Have you enjoyed it? I am on season 3. It was kind of predictable of who the main character was going to be for season 3 after watching season 2.
Of course.
But I have not seen I think Darren, you said a third episode just dropped, so I haven't seen the third episode yet.
Yep. It dropped a couple days ago. Season 2, I just wasn't that race. I wasn't imagining how far back she'd be. I didn't think she was going to be that far back. That's all I got to say. I didn't think she was going to win, but I didn't think she was going to do that poorly.
The one thing that I like, season 1 was really good. I was talking the main character special week, and I know Angela's just like horse girls. I don't care.
I can't even give you I don't even have anything to give you a hard time for that one. That's literally 100%. That sounds cute. Not for me.
The characters are adorable. I'll come right out and say the character designs are adorable. We saw a lot of figures at GalaxyCon when I was down there with Darren coming back from training in Georgia. But I didn't get any because I hadn't watched the series yet. Now that I've seen the series, I wish I had picked up a few because the characters are absolutely adorable. It's
all right, let's.
One thing I have enjoyed is how they have done progression through the 3 seasons. You see some of the familiar faces that are still there, and they're getting older, or they're bringing in basically the underclassmen. So every season, it's like the next year's students coming into the school.
Because remember, just like horses, they're only good to race for so many years. They have a very short window before they something happens to them physically or they're no longer in their prime.
Now, I liked Tokai Teo as a character, but I hated the fact that they had a good rivalry, and all they did was just. And I know that they say that these names are based off of actual racehorses. I don't know horse racing to know if the storyline of these two horses constantly having injuries happened in real life, or if it was just what they wanted to do for the anime. But you kind of got disheartened, especially after like the third or fourth time that they were getting injured.
Mm-hmm. McQueen and Tokai Teo.
And it was interesting to see from that standpoint, and you never fully got to see like the final actual competition race between Kokateo and McQueen. Yes, they had that little one, but it wasn't in an actual like competition setting where who's going to come out first.
Mm-hmm.
So they left a little bit on the table from that retrospect, and I don't know if that actually gets decided in the manga or light in the source material or not.
The source material is a game, remember? It's
Oh, it's a
Psy
game?
Games. Yeah, it's Psy Games.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's conception done right. That's how you adapt that's how you adapt a show from a game.
Doug, to answer your question about Pretty Derby, Ross, unfortunately, I'm skipping this because they added someone new as a character instead of using already one of the girls on the team who hasn't been given the chance to be the main character yet. And he's basing this on a trailer from months ago.
Let's see. Probably the most interesting character on Team Spica, Doug, I don't know if you agree, is Gold Ship.
Gold Ship. Was she the weird one with like the white hair?
Yes. The one that you almost never see running in races, but doing all the weirdest stuff.
And she always had Rubik's Cubes.
Yes. She's interesting as hell.
Ross, I'm trying to interpret your last comment about record label in Japan.
And also, but then again, the one between vodka and it was vodka and who was the other one?
I don't remember, but those two went after each other for season 1 and season 2, and from what I've seen, season 3 as well.
It was vodka and
bourbon. I don't know.
Bourbon, yes, bourbon. I think it was bourbon.
Was it actually bourbon?
I believe it was. Yep. No, it was vodka and Scarlet.
Okay.
It's Gold Ship, vodka, Scarlet, Special Week, Suzuka, Tokai Teo, McQueen, and then later our new one.
Yeah.
And then the one on the other. Ooh, okay. And then the one on one of the other teams, Turbo, she's just ecstatic.
Oh, Twin Turbo. I like Twin Turbo. I think she's a fun character. She also has the 2 different colored eyes, and I kind of like that in characters.
I was kind of hoping she'd do a little bit more, but she hasn't done much. That we've seen her in what, one race?
They've shown her in a couple, and she's lost to Tokai Teo in like 3 races, but you did get to see her race in one where she actually won. This is the point where Angela's like, I have no idea what's going on. I will just stay quiet and listen to the mumblings of two idiots watching horse girls run.
And you know what? On that note, where'd it go? I have a couple of different lists of. I have a couple of different lists of top anime for the fall season pulled up, and on one website, their top list of shows for this season, number one of them in the top 8. I don't know why they didn't do 10, but that's a separate thing. Number 6 is actually Pretty Derby season 3. And on Anime Corner, it did not make the top 10.
Rice Shower was actually an interesting character coming in, too. I thought that had a nice little spin. The underdog that upsets, oh, this one's going for the triple crown, and Rice Shower wins. And then McQueen was going for her 3rd consecutive win at this big event, and Rice Shower defeats her.
Oh, by the way, if you go to the wiki, if you go to the relationship section, it actually tells you the relationships they had IRL, like the horses they're based off of. And it looks
Really?
like Special Week was active in 1999 in real life.
Interesting.
1998 and 1999.
How about Tokai Teo?
Hold on, let me pull Teo up.
And Ross in the chat there says, also, Golden Ship is the one who always gets mustard in her eye. Talking about the quirkiness of Gold Ship. And Angela Ross was referring to the music from Pretty Derby.
Ah.
Oh man, they haven't done her relationships like they did Special Weeks. But 1991 is what looks like Tokai Teo's run. Oh, it actually does include the real Tokai Teo. Is a racehorse in the 1990s. He became an undefeated Double Crown next to his father, Simboli Rudolph, but he had to give up because of leg fractures. So
okay, so that okay.
that relates to what we see in the anime.
Yeah.
And that's from the real Tokai Teo.
Okay, so this new one that they brought in, Kitasan Black, Japanese thoroughbred racehorse, in a 3-year career, won 12 of his 20 races, including 7 Grade 1 events. Unraced as a juvenile in 2014, proved himself one of the best colts of his generation in Japan, following wins with the Spring Stakes, Saint Light Keenan, and the Kikuka show.
The Kika show.
As well as 3rd place finishes in the Satsuki show and the Arima Kian. Continued his good form in the first half of 2016 with a win in the spring edition of the Tenno show. His performances in 2016 saw him being voted Japanese Horse of the Year. So that's a little background on basically the main character of season 3, or the main horse girl that they follow in season 3. So that's kind of interesting. I like shows like this where like they delve into the history and they base a concept off of real world. Like that's what got me into the Strike Witches franchise, is knowing that all the characters were based off of actual fighter pilots from World War II. When you can combine history into anime in an entertaining way, and then you find out that there's actual facts to support what's going on in the show, even though it may be done in a fantasy style. It's kind of it kind of like piques my interest.
To a certain, when you put it like that, to a certain point, ditto. A lot of the sports anime actually get into the are accurate to the sports themselves.
Yep.
Like I've talked about Yuri on Ice. I also watched a gymnastics one a while ago, a rock climbing one.
I started watching one on Kabaddi. I dropped it because I just didn't keep my interest. But
the sports animes are actually real. If for the ones that we've watched, they've been really well done.
Keijo was great.
Didn't get into that one.
I don't think you would enjoy it, partially because it's such a made up, ridiculous sport.
I've heard things about Keijo.
I do know that they have that there was a country that was trying to make Keijo an actual sport. I don't know how far that's gone, but
well, and then to touch on your point about historicals, one that I really enjoyed, another arguably underrated one, was very much an alternative history. Drifters, but it's basically you take
you take the good, you take the bad.
Basically, you take historical characters. What if the biggest bad guy in the world was Jesus Christ? Joan of Arc as a villain, Oda Nobunaga as one of the good guys. But like I said, alternate history. But the
your boy Kong Ming comes back and becomes the manager of a pop idol singer.
But the point being, they actually got the historical details about these people accurate. Just what if? And Ross, I think, is still going on about Pretty Derby. The anime you were experienced, I was not the main guy character, actually rejects the main girl character relationship, advances that she is used to from guys, one of the bravest and hardest things to deal with. I say he's a hero.
Is he talking about the?
I don't know.
That sounds like our love story, and yes, that would be something very hard for your average boy to do.
There's a better way I could have put that, but I can't figure out how to say it.
Let me pull that comment up.
And then
John Knight in the chat says, tomorrow is Mary Elizabeth McGlynn's birthday. The voice of Briggs in Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, Kurane and Katsuyu in Naruto, and Julia in Cowboy Bebop. John, you're always a wealth of knowledge when it comes to the birthday. Do you stalk these? No, I'm not going to say you stalk these people, but it's like you just are always on the ball when it comes to this.
Follows a lot of those pages. Social media is a treasure trove if you know where to look. But props, John, for sharing all of that.
And once again, just as a reminder, we are closing in on 300 subscribers here on our YouTube channel. When we hit that goal, we do have a giveaway we're going to do where one lucky winner is going to get a signed print from Christy Rothrock for one of her characters. I have it safely tucked away. I just don't remember which character it was. She signed that for us when we brought her up to Rail City Fan Fest earlier this year. which again, that was a ton of fun. I know, Angela, you actually enjoyed coming out to the small con up in Vermont.
That was definitely a good experience. I'm glad I went.
Wish you could have stayed longer. I know that you wish so too, but
There
life
was
and other things going on.
there was a lot of chaos, and the weather didn't help. The weather kind of added to the, well, if I'm going to make it home safely, I needed to leave right then and there.
Oh yeah.
Because
And I'm sorry I missed it.
driving in torrential downpour, not something I recommend.
I prefer driving in torrential downpour than driving through snow.
Fun fact, I'm actually the other way around. I prefer driving in snow than torrential downpour, but I'm also in Massachusetts, and I'm far too accustomed to driving in snow.
Long story short, I was coming home a couple weeks ago, actually a couple months ago now, and it was raining so dang hard on the way home that everybody around me, everyone had their lights on, which is unusual, and B, 80% of the people had their flashers on, also unusual, and C, everybody was going under 30 miles an hour. That was probably the rarest part, and no one was trying to pass each other.
That's crazy.
It was that bad. And
Yup.
you got me with 7,000 pounds behind me in addition to my truck.
In other news that just came in, Minecraft had a vote that they were doing for adding a new mob in, and the choices were a penguin, a crab, or an armadillo. And I just got the news that the armadillo officially won. So if you're playing Minecraft, you're a fan of Minecraft, the new mob that's going to be coming in a future update is going to be an armadillo, which is said that when you kill that, you're able to get materials that can help you craft armor for the dogs. So when you bring your pet wolves into battle for you, they can now be wearing armor just like the horses.
I am actually kind of sad it's not penguins, but you know.
I was actually
Penguins?
reading. I just heard of this, and the armadillo just sounded cooler.
Penguins, the only thing they really aided with was making boats go faster in the water. And I forget what the crabs were, but it wasn't anything all that great either.
Fair.
I was like being able to armor your dogs. Okay.
Ross has decided to share some knowledge
Celebrity
that I
news.
forgot about. Celebrity death, Suzanne Summers, and yep, I read that earlier today. Completely.
Yeah, so that's the first I've heard of it, but you know, Suzanne Summers has been around for a while. Remember her from Three's Company. Also remember her from the Thigh Master commercials.
She also did a show, was part of a show, for those who remember TGIF on ABC back in the day. We're talking like 80s and 90s era. She was part of a show called Step by Step.
Was she on Cheers? Or am I thinking of somebody else? No, I'm thinking of somebody else. I think Shelley Long, I think, was Cheers.
Yes.
Excuse me.
And apparently, the armadillo is going to be found in the savanna biome. So those of you who are into Minecraft, you have something to look forward to. Yeah, that's I'm kind of excited because I do play Minecraft on a regular basis. I was playing it earlier today. I bring my Switch with me when I'm in the hotel, and I'll play for an hour or so in between taking naps. Because my sleep schedule's all sorts of screwed up when I'm on the road.
On the road again. Just can't wait to get on the road again.
Although I do have a funny little story about being on the road. Going to New Jersey, we go through Phillipsburg, New Jersey, and the engineer that I was with on the last two trips out to Jersey and back told me that at Phillipsburg there's a lot of rail fans who hang out there, and they actually have a rail cam, a live rail cam on the station that you can see the trains going by. Well, I found that before going off on the last trip, so I left it up on the computer, and I told my wife, if you happen to see, if when I go by, I'll wave. You might see me go by. Got all the paperwork, gave her the engine number. We didn't have a ton of stupidity at the home terminal, so we were going to get out pretty quickly. We gave her like a 2-hour time window. Figured we'd be passing that camera somewhere between 3 and 5, but I wasn't 100% sure because you never know if we're going to get stopped somewhere to let other trains pass that are higher priority because that's on a single track main line. And it just so happened that as I went by and started waving my arm out the window, she happened to catch it out of the corner of her eye and saw the train go by with me waving.
That's cute.
Aww.
I was like, I asked her, I said, was it weird to know that you got to see your husband go by one of those rail cams? She's like, kinda. She's like, if you hadn't told me what engine number you were going to be on, I wouldn't have known that was you. And then when the train, basically we ran out of time and had to be recrewed, got vanned from the recrew location to the home terminal, tied down, the 40-minute drive home. The camera was still up on the computer, had a clear signal, so you knew something was heading eastbound or heading westbound through that, past that station. In the back of my head, I said, it'd be funny if it was a train that I just got off, and sure enough, it was. That was like 3.5 hours later.
From HH, I hear that train a coming. It's rolling around the bend. I haven't seen the sunshine since I don't know when.
I was thinking eastbound and down.
Well, that's more trucking than training.
I know, but still.
And
Still
about what I
Smoking the
got,
Bandit.
about what I got to that is the devil went down to Georgia.
All three of them are good songs.
And then Ross
Because
going back.
HH was referring to Folsom Prison.
Yeah.
Ross is making a attempt at humor here. With Three's Company being in the 70s, did it start the inspiration for the harem genre for anime in Japan?
No, but it could have been like an early thing of girlfriend.
Or maybe maybe a resurgence. I don't know.
I never watched Three's Company, so I don't know the premise of it.
Basically, it was one guy who had two female roommates.
Okay.
There was always hinted that there was interest between him and each of the female roommates at separate times, but I don't think anything ever developed. He was more of a player, going after other girls, but always had a hard time bringing them back home when he had two female roommates.
That makes sense. Well, plus there was such thing as morals back then.
And HH answers, Ross, it was always kind of there since harem have been a traditional and even recently. I think he means have been a tradition and even so recently.
I feel like this kind of goes back to that whole nothing is original anymore, that it just kind of comes and goes in cycles.
Pretty much.
Like harem, like there's an era where harem anime is one of the popular ones, and then it kind of fades from popularity and something else becomes stupidly popular, and then
Shonen.
And then it goes
Now
back
it's
and
isekai.
forth, and now it's isekai.
Here's a question, and knowing like I'm isekai trash, and I know Darren, you like isekais. Angela's sick of them, but how much longer do we think this isekai obsession is going to last?
I don't know.
I don't know if we're going to
What,
see it continue to
what,
be as popular in like 2 to 3 years.
I
what's
think
the
we're gonna
next big thing? That's my question.
and that's kind of the kick in the teeth. Is what's going to be the next big thing? Who knows?
Yeah, who's going to take the crown from isekai right now? Because like
Yeah, because they sure took it from Etchy.
And like
Etchy got it from shonen, and then there were
a
before
lot of
shonen harem and mecha and
a lot of the big name, a lot of the ongoing shonens are wrapping up, where there's a clear end in sight.
One of my employee that I've been talking anime with recently, she was trying to get me to finish Black Clover. I'm like, I kind of feel bad because I stopped like maybe 30 episodes before the end of that.
Black Clover, I meant there was one that was on my radar, and then I went through a period of not having time for anime, and then all of a sudden I go to put it on the list, and there's way too many episodes.
Well, Black Clover, what I still recommend to people over My Hero. Even after, and yes, you will get used to Asta's annoying voice.
And Ross says, glad you brought this up. We might be getting a second season of Cheat Skill in Another World, unrivaled in the real world.
Yep.
John's saying that he needs to watch Black Clover. And then Ross does not understand the harem genre at all. Most men don't even know how to deal with one woman, and they expect to accept they can deal with 5 or 10. Yeah, that's some real fantasy.
But most of the harem anime never even got that big. Most of them was like a maximum of 3 to 4.
And then you've got some where the dude's just oblivious.
Infinite Stratos.
I love how we went to the same anime.
I mean, at least with Skune and Rosario Vampire, he knew the girls all wanted him.
Did I do the same thing? While going through all the comments, did I accidentally mix up Ross and HH?
You might have.
If I did, I am so sorry, guys.
As Angela has said before, she will glance over at the chat and she will open her mouth before comprehending anything that's there and just read.
Apparently I did, because now they're laughing about it. I'm
so sorry. You've been demoted.
I'm sorry to both of you.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that.
No, the difference between Ross and HH is, personally, I've known HH for years and is somebody that I've hung out with.
The difference is I've met one of them in person and not the other.
One of these people are not like the other. One of these people just do not belong.
But it's crazy to see how the trends have come and gone, and sometimes it's by the decade. Sometimes something will just have like one genre will have a strong 3, 4, 5 year run,
and
sometimes it's just multiple seasons.
And I think right now some of it is also just with anime becoming so mainstream and so global that there are certain trends that are just popular worldwide.
Another reason that I think like the isekai genre has become so overly done is the stories are pretty quick. It's easy to put a 12 episode anime out there of an isekai because it doesn't really matter the subject or the characters as long as the art looks halfway decent, the characters are cute, and there might or might not be a storyline. They know they're going to get the views. Plus, they have to put the stuff out there to keep up with everything else going on. Because, like you said, anime has gotten so big. You know, there was a time where you might get 40 animes in a year, and now you're getting 40, 50, 60 animes every 3 months.
Season.
So you need crap to fill up all those spaces.
And Ross with a random question. Free question: favorite comfort food, drink, and food for the fall and winter weather since the weather's starting to get cold.
Don't really have one because
And
I'm
this
never
is-
home long enough to snack.
And this is for everybody, including the chat. For me, when it gets cold and when it gets colder, I really love to just sit there with a cup of hot chocolate.
When it gets fall, apple cider donuts,
Apple cider, everything, because apple cider's delicious.
no pumpkin. I don't like pumpkin. I'm not basic. Um, calling out all the pumpkin lovers out there.
I prefer apple. Apple cider is delightful. But in the winter it's hot. In the winter it's hot chocolate.
Speaking of apple cider, I'm gonna have to see if there's like a good local farm because being out here in Pennsylvania now, there's farms everywhere. I gotta see if I can find some nice like local apple cider.
Sean, coffee is a part of. I don't exist without coffee.
Coffee is like the lifeblood of most people.
Coffee is something I don't touch.
That's why I said most people, and I've cut back on coffee quite a bit.
I have my 1 cup of coffee every morning without fail. If I don't, it's not pretty.
My friend, he used to if we didn't see him with his coffee mug in his hand, we all ran for the hills.
That's one of those things where I am spoiled. My husband gets up before me and he will make me my cup of coffee before I'm even out of bed. So I get to come downstairs and coffee is waiting for me. It's wonderful.
And my boss, the one day she didn't get her coffee because her power was out, we died.
Yep.
When I was back in New York, when I was working the 2 jobs, it wasn't uncommon for me to have 7 to 10 coffee, like large Dunkin' Donuts iced coffees a week. I cut way back once I started getting the Dubby containers with the energy powder to where we have a Keurig at home. So if I'm home in the morning, I'll have a cup of coffee. If I'm not home, typically I have in my work bag, I have a tub of the W energy powder, and I'll put that in the tumbler with 20 ounces of water, and that'll be my energy instead of a coffee. So I can't even say I drink coffee daily anymore because I really don't.
I'm a coffee snob.
I know.
My source of caffeine comes from tea. I'm sorry.
Teas are.
I am a sweet tea drinker.
Bojangles sweet tea was good. I will give it that. I'm not much of a tea person. I will put the sweet tea from Bojangles up there with like the Japanese hot tea you get or the Chinese hot tea you get when you go to like a good Chinese restaurant.
See, I do like a good tea. I do love some good teas, but I find that those are easier to ruin.
At some point we'll work our way down to Darren's neck of the woods, and he can introduce Angela to the proper sweet tea.
Yeah.
I've had Southern sweet tea before.
How long has it been though?
2021.
Where
The
did you
last
go for? Where would you even go for Southern sweet tea?
when I went to visit my mother in Florida, some restaurant I ordered sweet tea to drink.
Yeah, that don't count.
Okay,
Just
fair enough.
because I've had most restaurants sweet tea unless it's like a little country off the beaten path restaurant. Their tea is no.
Fair enough. We can have the we. You know what? If it works out, I'll fly down there for Anime-Zing, and we can go to a top places to get sweet tea.
People argue Smithfields. People argue Bojangles. You got the ones that'll defend McDonald's to the death.
McDonald's sweet tea is garbage. I've had it many times up here.
They may make it differently down here. 'Cause
Fair.
to be fair, when I went to New York with for my cousin's graduation and then later her wedding, the two or three times we went to New York, stopping at fast food restaurants and not being able to get sweet tea was not cool.
Nope. You know what? I will give you that.
Here.
And HH says green tea with honey and rose petals is freaking awesome.
I will
Green-
give green tea. I like my green tea. I will say that.
I love green tea as well. Green tea with honey, delicious. No, I got when I went to London, I did get a whole bunch of tea bags and brought that back. And I've been working my way through them because I just picked out random flavors.
Well, to be fair, that's about the only thing England knows food wise.
I could not get a better than mediocre cup of coffee. However, from a hole in the wall place, I had the most amazing chai.
That's usually how it goes.
Your
Parrot-
whole places are the best.
Agreed. And HH gives an answer to Ross. Can't have caffeine, so options are limited, but favorite fall winter food would be biscuits and gravy with maple sausage.
That does sound pretty good, and I'm not much of a gravy person.
Biscuits and gravy sounds amazing. And Ross says fall and winter hot chocolate with big old marshmallows, s'mores for a snack, but grilled cheese and grilled cheese for winter pot pies. I just like you know what? I just like food.
I like
I
food.
Okay, and have you seen Food Wars?
No, we've been over this. I need to watch it. I know.
You need to watch food porn. I mean, Food Wars.
You mean Kitchen Nightmares?
I have seen a few episodes of Kitchen Nightmares over the years. And by that I mean Gordon Ramsay. Because to be
You know what would be fun? I don't mean to step on your toes there, Ange, but I would love to see a video of Gordon Ramsay watching Food Wars
Yeah.
and get
Oh,
his honest
God.
opinion on
Yeah.
this. Are you with me, chat? Tell me that wouldn't be freaking
that
awesome
would
to
be
watch.
as a side note to that, have either of you guys seen Binging with Babish?
I've never even heard of
Never
it.
heard of it.
It's a YouTube channel, but one of the things they have done is they'll do food from popular media and they'll recreate it.
Yep. Crunchyroll's done that a couple times, or no, the React channel will do it, and then they'll say it's sponsored by Crunchyroll or something, and then they'll do like try not to eat challenge. They've recreated food from Food Wars. They've done it from Pokemon.
But look up Binging with Babish. One of their cooks, Alvin, has a what he refers to as Anime with Alvin, where where he takes food from whatever show and makes it And the recent one was a Burger featured in Final Fantasy 14. I think he did a Food Wars one a while ago.
He did.
Oh.
He also did Spy Family.
And also, AJ is tuning in and says also did one from Spy
The gross
Family.
soup. Yours gross soup.
Oh, yours. He did your soup from Spy Family.
Oh my.
Yep. Also did one from Naruto. The spicy something from Dragon Ball. Or is that Naruto?
It wasn't. It was neither.
I think that was
don't know what it was.
Naruto.
I don't know. I'm mixing up the shows.
I don't think it was Dragon Ball because Dragon Ball really never had much of anything noteworthy food-wise.
I am mixing up my shows, but
HH,
Check that out.
if you have extra sweet potatoes, I know my wife likes those, so you can always send some our way.
um,
Come on out to Pennsylvania and hang out
if
for a
you
little bit.
HH, sweet potatoes would not be turned down in this household either.
That was my dad's favorite potato.
I'm not a fan of sweet potatoes, but I know my wife loves them.
I liked him as a kid.
I've got basically I've when they're and Ross is telling me I need to watch Mrs. Kazumi Loves Her Ramen Noodles. What? I am
Okay.
skeptical of this. But thus far, Ross's recommendations that I've actually watched were already 1 for 1, so I'll look this one up. I don't know what else I got.
You're hungry now, I'm sure.
Yes, but it's almost bedtime.
But you're hungry.
That's nothing new.
We love our food. But with all that being said, looking at everything, it's like I have a few shows I need to watch.
Same here.
Same, but I need sleep first.
What is that?
That part where you go to bed, you close your eyes, 6 to 8 hours go by.
6 to 8 hours. What?
Oh, that's privileged.
What fantasy land are you living in?
The one where I went to bed, I turned off the light last night at 11 and woke up at 10 past 6 this morning.
I closed my eyes about 5:30 yesterday and woke up at 11.
That's 6.
I didn't get to the hotel the other night until like 1:30, lay down at 2, and at 7:30 I was awake getting breakfast.
And Ross says, speaking of hungry, one of their favorite childhood games was Hungry Hungry Hippos. That was fun.
That was a fun game.
I never really played that. We played something. It was where it was a dog that spun around and opened its mouth, and you had to flick the bone in its mouth.
I don't know that one.
I don't know that one either. Hungry Hungry Hippos was we got
what was it
violent.
called, Mom?
Oh, you always get violent with Hungry Hungry.
No, the one with the dog. No, the one that spun around automatically and we had to flip the bones in its mouth, remember?
Speaking of dogs, Dara, did you ever watch that Inuko-san's dog?
Yes, I watched that one.
Was that as bad as I heard?
It was bad, but I've seen worse. The last episode was what really made it go, what the... And the
Yep.
reason being, he was finally able to communicate, but he had a ball gag on.
Enough said.
Yep. I never played.
Never played the board game in the 90s, but who here has played Don't Wake Daddy?
I'm not familiar
I
with
played
that one.
Operation.
I too have played Operation.
Same here.
That's the same concept, right? Don't buzz to wake anybody up.
I've also played Concentration.
I think I tried that once. I don't remember.
That's a memory game.
I was the master of Monopoly.
I was hit or miss with Monopoly, but those games always took so long that we never really finished them.
Yep.
Same
Monopoly.
thing with Risk.
I loved Risk in college.
I think the longest Risk game that I played was against my ex-brother-in-law, and I think that went on for about a month and a half.
Yikes.
I had one game with me, my then significant other, and a buddy of his, and they basically started battling it out in on the sides of the Atlantic. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there. They assume I don't know what I'm doing. Meanwhile, eventually, by the time they realize I know what I'm doing, I have all of Australia, all of China, and I held basically half the board while they were too busy fighting each other to notice.
That's funny.
And that was the first time I ever played Risk.
Was it the last time?
Nope, I have played since, but nowadays, no one will actually play Risk with me. But a lot of that is because time.
Probably the longest game I had go on was me, my mom, our friend, and her son. No, my friend and his mom, whichever, however you want to phrase it. We played a game of Uno Attack, and we did it. We put it to the side because we thought we were going to get it done. I think we finished it like 2 years later.
Going back to the chat.
HH, that's great.
But before that, Ross was playing Pretty Pretty Princess. An Andrew phone with his sisters.
HH says, I noticed that if you pull the plug, you can't lose at Operation. I said that while in medical school, and shortly after I was escorted off campus by security. That just struck me really funny.
I feel like that's the perfect comedic note to end on, because I don't think we can top that.
I don't. That was great, HH.
That was great.
Thank you for that.
On that note, I hope everybody had a great night. We had a lot of fun chatting over random nonsense. Again, next week, scheduled guest is going to be Manic Dan Flanders from Manic Mart. It's going to be fun having him back on the show again. He is typically an October guest because he likes all things spooky. And the stuff he creates is really, really cool. He's just an awesome, awesome guy. Unfortunately, he wasn't at Rail City because there was another event going on that weekend that he had a table at. So Angela didn't get to actually meet him. I know that you would hit it off with him too. He's just really a cool guy. And as long as she's not out of the country like she was for Token with the Dead, she'll be able to.
On that note, funny you say that. I might be back from Toronto in time for the show. I might not.
Why would you go to Canada?
Because why not?
She wants to check on the wildfires, see if they're still going.
Among other things, the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Fair.
And food. And let's be real. Canada's got food that we don't necessarily get here.
They get the real poutine.
Yep.
How funny was Christie's expression first time having poutine?
Oh God, that was priceless.
I
Oh, that-
still haven't had it.
Both of you get your passports. We should do a trip to Anime North, and we will get real poutine.
See what we can do.
But on that note,
On that note, until next week when we welcome Dan Flanders back to the show, have a good night. Have a good week. Keep watching the anime, having fun. Stay safe out there, and we'll be back here with more Anime-Zing Radio next week right here on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Have a wonderful night, everyone.
good night, everyone.
Bye.